Markle said that when she joined the royal family, they took away her passport, driver's license, and keys. Welcome to the royal.
Yeah, it was a big event, mainly because they revealed the baby's gender in California without burning down an entire forest.
I assumed it was for the obvious reason. M is the 13th letter of the alphabet, and H is the 8th letter of the alphabet.
Meghan Markle just earned a title she never wanted, 2025's most hated public figure. Yeah, you heard that right. She went from unknown actress to duchess and somehow managed to become the favorite punching bag for comedians, late-night hosts, and satirists in record time. And here's the thing. Many say she earned it. So today, we're breaking down the celebrities who came for her the hardest. Trust me, you're not ready for what Chris Rock said. But here's the wild part. Some of these roasts are hard to find now. So hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because you won't believe what's coming. Let's dive in. Chris Rock didn't just roast Meghan Markle. He tore apart her victim narrative in minutes.
Eat, pray, love. Now for the tricky part. Place in microwave.
And here's the thing, it needed to happen because that Oprah interview had people confused. Chris Rock walked in and cleared it all up quick. Remember that interview? The one where she sat there acting shocked about how things went down with the royal family. Meghan's sitting across from Oprah and she goes, I didn't know. I had no idea how racist they were. Like she just discovered this shocking truth about one of the oldest institutions on the planet. Chris Rock heard that and just stopped. He's looking at the camera like, are you serious right now? Then he says it. What is she talking about? She didn't know. It's the royal family. You didn't Google these people? And listen, that's a great question because think about it. You're dating a prince, not just any royal family member. A prince from Britain, the family that's been around for centuries. And you're telling us you had no idea there might be some issues? Come on now. Chris breaks it down even further. It's the royal family. They're the original racists. This isn't some random family she married into. This is the royal family.
This is so amazing. So many of you here to see me. Huh? I feel like Meghan Markle. This is dope.
The institution that's been around longer than most countries. So the whole shocked act, Chris wasn't having it. He compared it to joining the mafia and then being surprised about crime. That's the perfect way to put it. You walk into a centuries-old monarchy knowing exactly what it is, and then you act blindsided when it's exactly what everyone knew it would be. That doesn't add up. But here's where Chris really demolished the entire narrative. You know that moment in the Oprah interview that got the most attention? The one about someone in the royal family asking what color the baby would be? That got positioned as this deeply racist, horrible moment. The way it was presented, you'd think it was the worst thing anyone could say. Chris Rock flipped that instantly. He said, they're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's going to be. Then he pauses and goes, I'm like, that's not racist. Even Black people want to know how brown the baby's going to be. Think about what he just did there. He took...
And Meghan Markle, she handed them everything on a silver platter. The privacy speeches delivered through constant interviews.
What was supposed to be the smoking gun of the whole interview and turned it into human curiosity. Because he's not wrong. When there's a mixed race baby coming, people wonder. It's not malicious, it's not racist, it's literally just curiosity about what the kid's going to look like. But it got twisted into this massive scandal. And that's when Chris called it what it really was. Manufactured drama, taking something ordinary, spinning it into something sinister, and selling it as proof of victimhood. The entire thing was built on making everyday situations sound extraordinary. Here's what made Chris Rock's takedown so powerful. He wasn't tiptoeing around it. He wasn't trying to be polite or diplomatic. He just said what most people were thinking, but were too scared to say out loud. And the second he did that, everything shifted. Other comedians saw it. They realized someone finally said it and the floodgates opened. If Chris Rock could call it out that directly, so could everyone else.
Tabloids, the Daily Mail trying to destroy their lives. Man, when the Daily Mail comes after you, they do not mess around. They will find that...
That's why his moment matters so much. He didn't just roast Meghan Markle. He gave everyone else permission to stop pretending the victim narrative made sense. And from that point on, nobody was holding back anymore. Once Chris Rock opened the door, American late-night hosts couldn't wait to join in. And trust me, They didn't hold back. Colin Jost kicked things off on Weekend Update with a joke that landed hard. He drops this line: "All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two." Think about that for a second. Britain doesn't want them back. America doesn't really want them either. They're stuck in this weird limbo where nobody's claiming them. That's harsh when you really break it down. SNL didn't stop there. They turned Harry and Meghan's lives into recurring bits. There was this Suits spin-off sketch that had everyone dying. The setup? It would focus on Meghan Markle's character trying to balance her career while caring for someone who moved to America. When Saturday Night Live makes your real life the punchline, you've crossed into a whole different territory.
You had one of the most watched interviews in television history where you aired your grievances with the royal family.
Then there's this other SNL bit where they're talking about some show and someone goes, "The only difference between that show and this is people actually watch this." Ouch. Her acting career came from one show that barely anyone saw. That's the background people are supposed to treat as impressive. Joe Coy hosted the Golden Globes and went straight for them. He's describing this show about a rich, dysfunctional family scheming against each other and then goes, "Oh wait, that's The Crown." The audience lost it. He summed them up in one line: just another messy, rich family minus anything interesting. But here's where it really stung. Joe Coy said the portrayal of the Queen was so good that Prince Harry called asking for advice. Think about what that implies. Your own life is such a disaster that you need fictional TV characters to help you figure it out. Jimmy Kimmel jumped in next and destroyed their biggest talking point. Harry claimed racism was a huge part of why they left.
So, Bill, we've just come off your own show. How do you feel when you come off doing a show?
Well, we just came off.
And Jimmy goes, "You know things were bad at Buckingham Palace if they came to America to get away from racism." That logic never made sense. And Kimmel called it out perfectly. Then Jimmy went after Harry's memoir. That book broke records for fastest-selling nonfiction, and Kimmel turned it into a running gag. The memoir became a punchline for whining from privilege. Hundreds of pages complaining while selling family drama for cash. Jimmy Fallon saw the Netflix show and couldn't believe his eyes. There's this scene where Meghan takes pretzels out of one bag and puts them in another bag. That's it. That's the content. Jimmy's like, "Why does she do that?" It confuses people, and he's not wrong. Rich person behavior at its finest, tied directly to her brand. Stephen Colbert got in on it too. Meghan revealed why she and Harry call each other M and H, like it's this adorable couple thing. Stephen played the clip, and you can see him trying not to laugh.
I mean, we do have paparazzi. It's just they don't have cameras. Yeah. It's just a guy running off to you like, "I saw you, I saw you."
Calling each other by initials, like they're a luxury brand. It felt forced, desperate to seem relatable while being the complete opposite. But get this, the interview circuit never stopped. First, there was the 2-hour Oprah special, then came the 6-part Netflix documentary. And they still weren't done. They did 60 minutes. At some point, people started wondering if they actually wanted privacy or if they just wanted to control the narrative while staying in the spotlight. Trevor Noah actually defended Meghan at first. He was going after the royal family, making jokes at their expense instead of hers. But then something shifted. He saw Prince Harry at a movie premiere, literally working the room, pitching Meghan to Disney executives for voiceover work. Seeing a prince beg Bob Iger for a Lion King gig changed everything. That's when Trevor switched from defender to critic. The hustle became too obvious to ignore. If American hosts were having fun with it, British comedians wanted blood.
I hadn't seen pantyhose since movies in the 80s. That's why I don't look at it. I hadn't heard that.
The Duchess of Sussex.
Because to them, this wasn't just entertainment, this felt personal. Jimmy Carr opened with the contradiction nobody could ignore. Meghan Markle is a lifelong feminist, he says, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job. One sentence. That's all it took to expose the whole thing. She built her brand on independence and feminism, then dropped it all the second a prince showed interest. But Jimmy wasn't done. He compared the royal family to the Kardashians, then looked at Harry and said he's basically their Kanye. Why? Because he occasionally dressed in that controversial outfit and messed everything up. That history doesn't just disappear because Harry wants it to. It's always going to be there. Then Jimmy hit them with this one. Harry and Meghan say they'd like to split their time between the UK and Canada. And that's what got British people fired up, living in luxury while complaining about how difficult everything was. That didn't sit well with a lot of people. Simon Brodkin actually gave them a fair shot.
Is that she studies people. She's not a good actress, but she is a trained one, right? She's been doing it her entire life.
But it's also very strange that
he sat down and watched the entire Netflix documentary with an open mind. Here's what he said. Before I watched it, I wasn't a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of things. And you're expecting him to say he changed his mind, right? Nope, I hate them. The documentary was supposed to win people over. It had the opposite effect. Simon said they started off making interesting points about real issues, but then they ruined it by calling each other H and M and acting all cutesy. He literally said, I just thought, oh, go away. Get this. Harry described one of their first dates as the night me and M pulled the pin on a fun grenade. Who talks like that? Simon said that language was so over the top that he actually started rooting for Prince Andrew. Think about how bad you have to be for people to side with Prince Andrew instead. Then there's the curtsy situation. Harry's in the documentary explaining, how do you explain to someone you've just started dating that they have to curtsy to your own grandmother?
Documentary and talk show imaginable. The contradiction? Comedy gold.
And he's acting like this is the most complicated thing in the world. Simon's response, maybe just tell her that your grandmother is the queen. It's not complicated. If you're dating the queen's grandson, learning basic royal etiquette should be expected. But they made it sound like some impossible cultural barrier nobody could have predicted. Simon watched all 6 episodes and said by the end, the content was so unbearable he couldn't take it anymore. Creating something that makes viewers react that strongly over security concerns, that's a special kind of terrible. Like Kelly Osbourne absolutely lost it on them. No filter, just pure honesty. She called Harry out directly. He's a whining, complaining, woe is me, I'm the only one that's ever had these struggles. And she's not wrong. We all deal with difficult stuff, but complaining about your situation from a California mansion while acting like you're the only person who's ever faced challenges?
Well, actually, we were live for 20 years, I think. The last year since the pandemic, we tape a little.
That's what made people furious. Then Kelly really let him have it. Like, my life was so hard. Everybody's life is hard. You were the prince of a country who dressed up in that outfit, and now you're trying to come back as the Pope. Previous actions don't vanish with PR spin. The photos exist. The history is documented, and the public doesn't forget. You can't erase what you did and expect people to treat you like a moral authority. British comedians weren't making jokes anymore. This was pure anger at what they saw as a betrayal. Some comedians moved past the jokes and started calling out what this actually was. The privilege problem nobody wanted to address directly. Bill Maher didn't dance around it. He looked at the camera and said what needed to be said. You can't write a book about how much you don't want attention. Think about that logic. You hate the spotlight so much that you write a 400-page memoir and then tour the world promoting it? That doesn't add up. But Bill kept going. He called them out for being products of their generation.
Not you. Then who's to blame for all this royal drama?
It's the queen.
Oh, crap. Right under the bus. Okay.
You're fragile, he said. Then he brought up someone who understood how to handle being royal, the queen. Her approach was simple. Never complain, never explain, and rarely be heard speaking in public. That's real dignity. That's understanding the position you're in and acting accordingly. Queen Elizabeth knew that silence carried more weight than constant explanations. She didn't need to tell everyone her side of things every 5 minutes. Compare that to Harry and Meghan, who can't go 3 months without another interview or documentary. Bill summed it up. You're complaining about your hard life and you're so privileged. It's weird. It's ridiculous. Talking about how difficult things are from a multi-million-dollar estate in Montecito. The privilege blindness is off the charts. Then Bill said something that resonated with a lot of people. I will not bend the knee and go along with the nonsense. That's what's so annoying about them most of all. They insist that you go along with their nonsense and their insanity and their fragility.
You know you have stepped in it. Prince Harry just broke the #1 cardinal rule.
We're not bowing down because she demands it. That's the issue. They want everyone to accept their version of reality without question. And when people don't, they play the victim even harder. Nikki Glaser took a completely different approach. She didn't attack them. She simply read the situation for what it was. She wants to be famous, Nikki said. She found the guy to make her the most famous in the world. And now she's over there and she's like, oh, this isn't what I thought. Translation. She got what she wanted and then pretended to be surprised by it. Nikki saw through the whole act. Meghan found the one person who could give her more visibility than any acting role ever would. Mission accomplished. Then Nikki broke it down further. If she didn't marry him, she would be on The Bachelor this season fighting for screen time. She would be Megan M. from Sherman Oaks, barista. Without Harry, where would she be? Competing for attention on reality TV. The marriage was the ultimate career move disguised as a love story.
Diplomatic intervention. And instead of butter, she slaps on a whisper of spices so faint even the turkey looked like it was begging for asylum.
Conan O'Brien found his own way to mock them. He tracked down someone who was temporarily storing their wax figures from Madame Tussauds. The whole segment poked fun at how their public image had become so absurd that even their wax figures were material for comedy. Their reputation got so ridiculous that you don't even need the real people anymore to make the joke land. The figures themselves became the punchline. Then Conan went after Meghan's jam business. Yes, she tried to launch a lifestyle brand selling tiny jars of jam. Conan had someone on his show who worked as a middleman for these jars. Tiny jams, harvestable jams, made from the oils of Montecito. The jam business is peak Meghan Markle, pushing overpriced luxury items nobody asked for, while trying to seem relatable and down to earth. It became the perfect symbol of how disconnected from reality the whole operation was. Even John Oliver, who usually stays pretty neutral, couldn't help himself.
Yes, well, I brought you a gift. It's to put in your bath. Homemade.
When someone as measured as John Oliver speaks up, you know it's bad. His take. I don't think they will change because I don't think they have the capacity to. That's not a joke. That's an observation. When John Oliver says you're incapable of self-awareness, that's not comedy anymore. That's the truth. When the comedians weren't enough, the internet finished the job. Big influencers saw what was happening and jumped in, turning Meghan Markle into a full-blown living meme. These creators had massive audiences watching, and they didn't hold back.
My husband H just got home from a 17-hour flight from Botswana, and he's starving. Let me show you how I whipped up.
And honestly, the material wrote itself. There's this one moment from the show that became instant comedy gold. Meghan's showing people how she prepares snacks for guests. She takes snacks out of their original packaging, moves them into different packaging, and then labels the new container, even though it already has a label on it. Influencers couldn't believe what they were seeing. One creator did a perfect mockery of it.
Harry and Meghan's wax figures were removed from Madame Tussauds. For real, we didn't do that. We could do that. We didn't.
Take the snack out of one container and then move them into another container and then label this new one, even though it already has a label. Think about what that is. You're not making anything. You're not creating anything. You're literally transferring store-bought snacks and calling it entertainment. That's the definition of out-of-touch rich person behavior. But it gets better. There's another clip where she's preparing water for her guests. Not regular water from the tap. Special water that she claims came from a spring in her backyard. She pours it into glasses and then adds flower petals. The viral recreation had creators dying. How I prepare water for my guests. Some water that I got from the spring in my backyard. Whatever you do, don't use tap water. Then they'd take a dramatic sip and drop a flower petal in like it's some kind of spiritual experience. Regular water isn't good enough. It needs to be special spring water with decorative flowers floating in it.
You never had a dream when you were a child to be something everyone else said was impossible? Like an astronaut, or prime minister, or masseur?
Because plain water is apparently too ordinary. That's the kind of performance that Jordan Peterson called out. Style over substance. Emotion without meaning. Selling it like wisdom while being completely disconnected from actual life. One influencer nailed it with this line. Any type of flower arranging is telling a story. What story do you want to tell? Maybe leave the country. Maybe cut off your family. Be creative with it. The online mockery hit way too close to home. These weren't random jokes. These were direct shots at actual decisions she made, presented as lifestyle advice. Influencers laid the hypocrisy bare for millions to see. Then there was the yoga studio drama. Someone asked if Meghan Markle had ruined their workout routine, and the answer was yes. She showed up at a yoga place in New York, and suddenly, what was supposed to be a quiet workout spot turned into a circus. Even something as simple as going to yoga became a performance.
I was telling H the other day over breakfast in Montecito, I feel like I finally found the secret.
She's always on stage for an invisible audience that may or may not be there. She can't just exist. Everything has to be an event. And we can't forget the jam situation. Meghan actually tried to launch a lifestyle brand selling jam. Not regular jam you'd find at a farmer's market. Tiny, overpriced jars with fancy labels that nobody asked for or wanted. The whole thing became a symbol. This is peak Meghan Markle right here. Take something simple that people have been making for centuries, put it in expensive packaging, charge way too much for it, and market it as premium wisdom. Then act surprised when people mock it instead of buying into it. Everyday activities rebranded as revolutionary lifestyle advice. Moving snacks between containers, putting flowers in water, selling overpriced jam, that's the brand. And the internet saw right through all of it. The influencer videos reached more people than the original Netflix show ever did. And unlike the documentary, people actually wanted to watch them.
Full curtsy to the floor.
Once the internet was done, the animated shows took their turn. And these weren't just quick jokes. These were full episodes dedicated to tearing them apart. South Park saw the hypocrisy instantly and turned it into entertainment for the world to laugh at. They created a whole episode around Harry and Meghan, and it was brutal from start to finish. The setup was perfect. Harry's sitting there explaining his life. You've lived with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book. That's the whole problem in one sentence. You had everything, complained about it, and then sold the complaints for cash. South Park made sure everyone understood what was really happening here. Then they go after the core contradiction. Harry and Meghan keep saying, "We just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard." But here's where it gets good. The interviewer asks, "Isn't it true that your wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines?"
Oh, hi! This is my best friend.
Harry gets defensive. "What are you suggesting?" And the interviewer responds, "Well, I think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want to be left alone." South Park nailed it. You can't cry about wanting to be left alone while doing magazine covers and TV shows. The contradiction is impossible to ignore. Harry's response in the episode, "How dare you? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted to be left alone." The writers didn't even need to exaggerate. The real situation was already ridiculous enough. They just had to present it as it was, and the comedy wrote itself. Then the episode shows them leaving. To heck with Canada, we are leaving. We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people. Come on, wife. They keep repeating, "We want to be left alone. We want to be left alone." A global tour preaching about wanting solitude. The irony couldn't be more obvious. South Park made sure the whole world saw it. They end up in this quiet town, and Harry says,
Suits. But I feel like you're right. She got all the rigmarole. She got swept off her feet. She's in LA.
"Look at this town. There's just something about it. I think this might be the place. It's so quiet and empty here. If we moved here, then people would think we're serious about this." Claiming to want a quiet life while filming the entire search for your streaming show. Zero self-awareness, maximum hypocrisy. And South Park captured it perfectly. Family Guy jumped in next with their own take. Their approach was more direct. They show someone talking to Harry, "Sir, you're millions from Netflix for no one knows what." That became the running joke. Netflix threw money at them for projects nobody can explain and nobody wanted to watch. The deal turned into an industry-wide punchline. What did they actually produce? What was it for? Nobody seems to know. Then Family Guy shows their daily routine. Babe, time to do our daily $250,000 sponsored Instagram post for Del Taco. That's the reality check right there. It went from royal duty to six-figure sponsored posts for random brands.
If you're a busy mom like me, I have a simple, no-fuss way to make your kids' school lunch every morning. Let me show you how I made.
The contrast couldn't be sharper. And Harry's response in the cartoon, I shouldn't have left the royal nonsense. Think about what that line means. He's regretting leaving royal duties for influencer duties. Both are performance, both are selling an image. The only difference is one came with actual history and respect, and the other is begging fast food chains for sponsorship deals. Family Guy didn't need to make it more outrageous. The real situation was already there. They just had to point it out. Between South Park and Family Guy, the animated world made sure nobody could ignore what was happening. These weren't subtle jokes hidden in episodes. These were direct, full-scale takedowns that millions of people watched and shared. The cartoons did what live comedy couldn't. They showed the contradiction in animated form, making it even more obvious how disconnected from reality everything had become. Now, here's where things get wild, because the most brutal takedown of all was the one that got taken down from the internet.
Prince Harry's wife in the coronation in May, joking that she was being offered $19 an hour to attend as a graphic of the Dutch.
Spitting Image is a British satire show known for going after public figures with puppets. And when they went after Meghan Markle, they didn't hold back. These episodes were so on point that suddenly they all went offline. The show opened with Meghan saying, I'm Meghan Sussex and I'm a good person and I'm meeting another good person today, the wonderful Ariana Grande. Ariana responds, oh my God, Meghan, you're such a good person. And Meghan says, yes, that's why I'm going to talk to you like you're an idiot. Right from the start, Spitting Image called out the performative good person act, claiming to be humble while talking down to everyone. The condescension was the entire joke. Then there's the cooking segment. Meghan announces, I am preparing my guest some soul food that my British husband calls a packet of crisps. She's trying to open the bag when suddenly she gets knocked over by it. The response, oh my God, you've been knocked down by the crisps. So vulnerable. I love it. I'm just down here holding space.
So Meghan, tell me about your look.
My what?
Your look.
My look.
Your look.
Oh, my look.
Her Netflix show got destroyed in this format. Soul food reduced to a bag of chips with a flower slapped on it. That's the whole thing right there. Taking everyday items and rebranding them as premium lifestyle wisdom. The entire brand exposed in 30 seconds. The satire even includes this: like and subscribe to learn how to breathe. That's how hollow it all looked. Monetizing basic human functions and selling them as revolutionary advice. Then comes the flower scene. As a finishing touch, sticking flowers on anything means you made it with love. Everything needs a flower. Everything needs to be elevated beyond what it actually is. It's a bag of chips, but with a flower, it's now soul food. The show tackled their marriage dynamic too. Meghan's teaching people secrets to a happy marriage, and there's this exchange about who's really in charge. The dynamic between them gets laid out pretty clearly. This is where things got interesting. The way their relationship was portrayed seemed to strike a nerve somewhere.
Chris Rock humiliated Meghan Markle and became the most talked about topic yesterday in the United States. The comedian made a series of jokes.
The portrayal was detailed enough that it became uncomfortable to watch. Then there's the California segment. In California, we're just a regular couple living close to Oprah and far from the paparazzi, but not too far. Living next to Oprah while claiming you want distance from celebrity culture. Close enough to photographers when you need them, far enough when you don't. The hypocrisy couldn't be more clear. The show even went after Harry directly. The best thing is no more following grandmother's rules. If I want to play polo in my living room, who's going to stop me? And Meghan immediately responds, stop that right away. Every scene showed Harry being directed while Meghan built her brand. Seeing that power dynamic in this format hit harder than any direct criticism ever could. Spitting Image is known for ruthless satire. When their episodes about this topic went offline, fans of the show were disappointed. Nothing's confirmed about why it happened, but the timing was notable. The episodes went up, generated attention, and then went offline.
I said Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job.
South Park did similar episodes, and those are still available. South Park is too big and established. But Spitting Image, different story. Here's the thing about trying to erase things from the internet, though. It never works the way you think it will. The more something gets removed, the more people want to see it. The more it goes offline, the more it gets shared through other channels. Those Spitting Image episodes became legendary specifically because they went offline. And that made people even more curious about what was shown that generated that kind of response. So there you have it. From Chris Rock to South Park, from Jimmy Kimmel to Spitting Image, nobody held back when it came to Meghan Markle. And honestly, the pattern is pretty clear when you look at all this together. Chris Rock opened the floodgates by calling out what most people were thinking, but nobody wanted to say. He took apart the victim narrative piece by piece, and suddenly other comedians felt free to do the same. That's what made his takedown so important. It wasn't just funny, it gave others permission to stop pretending.
Meghan, you have been working so hard. You're probably the hardest worker in the...
Then the American late-night hosts joined in, each one finding their own angle. Colin Jost made it about nobody wanting them. Jimmy Kimmel went after the logic that didn't add up. Jimmy Fallon caught those out-of-touch scenes on camera. Stephen Colbert highlighted the cringe. They all saw it from their own perspectives, and they all came to similar conclusions. The British comics hit even harder because this felt personal to them. Jimmy Carr, Simon Brodkin, Kelly Osbourne, they weren't playing around. They watched someone walk away from their country, complain about difficulties from luxury estates, and sell family drama for profit. That combination didn't sit well. Bill Maher and Nikki Glaser brought distinct energy. Bill called out the privilege problem directly. You can't complain about attention while constantly seeking it. Nikki just read the situation for what it was. A calculated move that worked exactly as planned. Both of them saw through the performance. Then the internet took over and created viral content.
Meghan, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
And how's your family?
Influencers made parodies that reached more people than the original Netflix show. Basic activities getting rebranded as wisdom, snacks in containers, flowers in water, overpriced jam. The disconnect became impossible to ignore when millions were watching and laughing. The animated shows brought it to another level entirely. South Park and Family Guy didn't need to exaggerate. They just showed the contradictions as they were. Wanting privacy while doing a media tour. Getting millions for projects nobody understands. The real situation was already ridiculous enough. And then Spitting Image created something so cutting that it went offline entirely. Whether that was intentional or not, the result was the same. The episodes became legendary specifically because they became hard to find. Looking at all of this together, you start to see why it happened. It wasn't just one comedian making one joke. This was sustained, consistent criticism.
Everybody trying to be a victim. Like, what's this girl, Meghan Markle?
From every corner of entertainment. Late night TV, stand-up comedy, sketch shows, internet creators, animated series, all of them saw similar problems. The victim narrative that didn't match the actions. The privacy claims while doing constant media. The complaining about difficulty from obvious privilege. The rebranding of ordinary things as premium content. The hustle disguised as persecution. Each comedian just pointed at various parts of the overall picture. What made it all work was that the material kept coming. Every interview created new content. Every documentary gave comedians more to work with. Every lifestyle brand launch became another punchline. The cycle fed itself. And here's what's interesting. This isn't slowing down. New material keeps appearing. New comedians keep weighing in. The conversation continues because the situation continues. As long as there are new interviews, new projects, new claims that don't match reality, there will be new comedy pointing it out.
Hold it steady, you ginger pots! Hello, followers. You know little old me is a...
Some people think the criticism went too far. Others think it was completely deserved. That's the debate that's still happening. But what's not up for debate is that this became one of the most sustained comedy targets in recent memory. From the biggest names in comedy to internet creators with phones, all of them found something to say. And when that many people from that many walks of life all notice the same patterns, that tells you something. The question isn't whether the criticism happened. Clearly, Honestly, it did. The question is whether it was fair, whether it crossed lines, or whether it was just comedians doing what comedians do, pointing out contradictions and making people laugh at the absurdity of it all. So, was all this deserved, or did it go too far? That's for you to decide. Drop your honest take in the comments below. And look, I definitely missed some of these. There's just too many to cover. So tell me who I should break down next. If you made it this far, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.